Throughout the majority of the Blue Lock manga, there have been two individuals who have honestly stood above the rest as far as becoming the #1 striker is concerned. Those two individuals are of course Itoshi Rin and Shidou Ryusei. One of the most debated matchups, and something I feel like people have a really big misconception of, Rin vs Shidou is actually a very, very interesting topic to cover. And who else but me, the sexiest Blue Lock creator out there, to end this debate once and for all. I've seen a couple people talk about it online, and while I feel like for the most part they either have the right answer and are kind of on the right track, no one's been fully concrete, at least to my content. But before we get into this, I actually have to thank you guys for 7,000 subscribers. Which is absolutely insane because the last video I made, we had 6,000 subscribers, and I thank you. I feel like I keep saying this in every video, and it's not my fault. We're kind of growing a little too fast for my own good. My head's getting a little big. I am an egoist after all, though, so it kind of already is. But genuinely, I wanted to thank you guys so much and consider this absolute banger, as well as every other banger that I come out with, a sincere token of my gratitude, because honestly, I wouldn't be here without you guys, and I love each and every one of you. Fuck, 3,000. I'll be corny like that. Alright, with that unscripted ass intro out the way, I think it's about time we get straight into this. You guys already know the drill. Grab your snacks, fill your cups, and I know what you're thinking, but please, please, please do not put your phone in your left hand right now. Let me know in the comments down below who you guys think is the better striker of the two. I am probably going to go at it with everyone who tries to debunk me, so it's going to be fun. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. First off, I'm going to talk about who a better overall player is, taking into account all aspects of their play and determining who I believe is the best player of the two. Then after, since, you know, it is Blue Lock we're talking about, I'll detail who the better striker is. Not just player, striker. Which is definitely going to be the focus in this video because the first part is a little bit one-sided. With that said, this is where the fun begins. So, who is a better overall player? Itoshi Rin or Shidou Ryusei? Blue Lock's #1 and 2, and two of the most fan-favorite characters who can impact the pitch at a moment's notice. Both weapons in and of themselves possessing some of the biggest egos in the entirety of the series to complement their overwhelmingly dominant play. Well, like I already said, when you're discussing who a better overall player is, this isn't much of a competition. In all facets of the game, maybe besides physicality and overall scoring ability, Rin has Shidou outclassed 99% of the time. This is shown in multiple times throughout the series, as Rin has been able to overwhelm damn near every opponent he comes up against. Whether it be his destructive dribbling as he entered the flow state in the U20, to his lockdown defense against his brother Sai, and oh yeah, Shidou himself in the game's closing stages, saving Blue Lock's ass multiple times. Not to mention that his kicking accuracy is second in the series as far as the U20s go, with only his brother, the literal world-class genius, being ahead of him. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away from Shidou in any way. I mean, he's Blue Lock's #2 for a reason. The man's really like that. High-level dribbles paired with his impressive frame, which perfectly complements his aggressive playstyle, makes Shidou one of the most complete forwards in the entirety of the show. Topping it off with his ability to guarantee a goal within the penalty box and his extreme spatial awareness, it's hard to name a player who is truly better than Shidou. However, one factor that we simply cannot overlook is Shidou's selfishness. To Shidou, football isn't team versus team. It's not 11 people on one team, 11 people on the other. It's him against everybody else, 1v21, as he moves solely for the sake of his own goal. However, it's due mostly in part to the selfishness that Shidou loses this overall first debate. In Shidou's case, he can only succeed if the team plays around him, with the sole intent of letting him score. Such was the case in the U20 game. Even if that's the case, the chances of Shidou playing nice diminish greatly when someone who can't control his ego isn't present, and considering there aren't many Itoshi Sais just lying around, it's safe to say that while Shidou may be a dominant force in and of himself, he can only do so much on his own, which most of the time he will be. Not like it matters in the end, because there's literally no way, shape, or form that you can consider Shidou a better overall player than Rin, in my opinion. Not only is Rin more complete overall, but unlike Shidou, who requires a team centered around him, Rin has the ability to take over any team that he's on and become the main star almost completely on his own. A versatile player who is the biggest threat on damn near every single pitch he steps on, Rin is truly one of the best overall players in the entire series. Now that I've cleared that up, let's get on to the actual debate. While it is clear who the better overall player is, that being Rin, the same can't be said for who the better overall striker is of the two. As we know, Shidou was the wild card for the U20 team. The egoist selected by Itoshi Sai himself had been waiting patiently for his opportunity to explode. In multiple ways than one, I guess you could say. And the second he was subbed on, oh boy, he made an impact. For this video, I'm primarily looking at the U20 for both of them, as their best feats both positively and negatively come from that game. In the case of Shidou, we have to take a look at three specific subjects: his matchup against Rio, Dragon Drive, and the Big Bang Drive. First off, let's talk about the Dragon Drive. Shidou's first goal of the game comes at the end of his one-of-a-kind Dragon Drive. I feel like Dragon Drive doesn't get enough praise simply because the Big Bang Drive exists, and trust me, I get it, that goal's disgusting. A chemical reaction that was birthed by Atoshi Sai, as his perfectly placed pass made it impossible for even the speedster Chigiri Hyoma to reach it in time. While this goal leads many to assume that it was carried by Sai, it was truly a goal spawned by Shidou himself. Something that only he was capable of, a playful fantasy he thought not possible until the appearance of the genius in front of him. This goal itself is enough to be considered a super goal, and the fact that it isn't considered one just goes to show how good Shidou's overall scoring ability truly is. Next up, I wanted to examine something that could be seen as both a good and a bad for Shidou, that being his matchups against Ryo in the U20. While this is mostly a negative, we can also derive a positive from this, as Ego deemed it necessary to place a trump card on Shidou, that being the chameleon himself, Mikage Ryo. We see as Ryo entered the game that his one goal was to neutralize Shidou, something that he managed to do for the most part, as Shidou didn't accomplish much following Ryo's appearance. Through examining the U20's defensive line and successfully using his chameleon copy to replicate their defensive tactics, Ryo managed to stop Shidou on multiple scoring attempts. Even factoring in his copy, Ryo managing to stop Shidou is a complete detriment in his own right. Taking a look at the other side of the debate, Rin had to battle against Oliver Aiku, the Oliver Aiku, while Shidou was simply going up against a copy, and I know Ryo is no joke. Trust me, I think I kind of made that clear with my last video, but still I think it is worth noting that someone who isn't primarily a defender was able to shut down Shidou with relative success. However, that does not mean he did nothing, leading to our final talking point and the pinnacle of Shidou's play, the Big Bang Drive. We see Atoshi Sai send the ball Shidou's way, only for everybody's favorite goalie, the GOAT, Gagamaru, to step up and deflect it first. However, it was off this deflection where the demon inside Shidou Ryusei awakened. In that instant, Shidou explodes, jumping into the air and hitting a beautiful bicycle kick akin to Zlatan against England in 2012. Shidou at this point has entered the flow, scoring a super goal and single-handedly killing the hopes of Jinpachi Ego himself. Ego's panic following this goal implies that he truly saw no way to win following Shidou's awakening. In Ego's own mind, an awakened Shidou was way too much for anybody in Blue Lock to stop. Outside of the 5-shot revolver, Big Bang Drive is the most impressive goal and impossible goal that we have seen in the series thus far, and other than Shidou, it's hard to make a case for anybody else being able to pull this off. Going off these feats alone, it's safe to say that Shidou has the single most impressive showing as a striker when compared to anybody else in the series. The tide of the U20 was completely uplifted by Shidou's introduction into the game, and keep in mind, he only played one half. And it's still the most impressive display we've seen from any striker in the entirety of the manga so far. Name one performance better than this in like a proper match. You can't. I guess you could say Baro against Barca right now, but that's off screen and it's Barca. Who cares, dude? Now then, on to Rin. Outside of the U20, similar to Shidou, I see no point in examining the other games, as his performance beforehand was simply a gauge of his baseline ability. It wasn't until the U20 where we truly saw what Atoshi Rin, the true ace of Blue Lock, was capable of. Similar to Shidou, I only have 3 points to bring up in Rin's case as well. His first half favela against Oliver Aiku, his dynamic with Isagi throughout the match, and finally, his berserker flow. Kicking things off both literally and figuratively, we have a rather slept on goal that I completely marked out over in my reread for this video, cause Jesus Christ, it is sexy. We saw earlier on in the match that Rin was truly doing the most to score, and outside of Nagi's early strike caused by multiple people overwhelming the U20's iron wall, no one had been able to break through. That is, until this happened. Keep in mind, in this moment, while it was aided by Isagi acting as a decoy, Rin had no intention in passing to him, and he was being marked by Oliver freaking Aiku, the literal best defender that we have seen in the entirety of the series so far. Not only did he manage to get the step on Aiku, but his game sense, precognition, and egoism were all working overtime, as before even Aiku could react to it, Rin chose the most optimal and effective shot possible in that moment, outsmarting Japan's #1 defender with an absolutely gorgeous fivela, kicked with such grace and finesse that arguably nobody else in the pitch, outside of maybe his brother, could have pulled off. Now, while Isagi did lend a hand in drawing Aiku's pressure off Rin to give him the shot, this goal was ultimately the product of Rin's play and speaks volumes on not only his scoring ability, but his poise under pressure, game sense, and quick thinking, which allows Rin to take the most optimal shot every single time. He's very similar to Shidou in this way, even though their overall ideologies tend to clash when it truly comes down to it. However, there is a glaring problem which needs to be discussed, and it's shown through his dynamic with Isagi throughout the game. As selected by Ego himself, the entire team was built around Rin, as he was seen as the #1 striker going into the match, with the one who synergized most perfectly with him, the egoist Isagi Yoichi, playing at the center mid position to complement him the best. Isagi's evolution throughout the U20 is actually one of the biggest downplays of Rin's ability to become the true ace, even if he was the most dominant player present. However, while this does diminish his overall dominance when in the face of an egoist such as Isagi, it doesn't take take away from his overall ability. And speaking of his ability, you know we couldn't end this without talking about his strongest feat so far, Rin's Berserker Flow. The strongest flow we've seen in the series so far, and arguably the strongest U20 performance period, Atoshi Win awakens his latent potential at the height of his frustration. Unable to defeat his brother Sai and beginning to see Isagi rise as the main star of the game, something snaps inside Rin. Once this happens, call the match. It's over. It's basically over. Stealing the ball from Hiyori, his own teammate, mind you, Rin charges the net with authority, breaking past the first 3 layers of Japan's defense, speed blitzing, out-dribbling, and even flipping over the iron wall on his way to the goal. Rin at this point was basically unstoppable, to the point where even Oliver Aiku said that he had no possible chance of stopping Rin one-on-one. Even when Shidou came to pressure him from behind, not like that. There was still only a 50% chance of stopping him from scoring. Of course, Rin would barely miss the shot as it dinked off the post and into the possession of his shitty older brother. Cue the brotherly duel of fate, one lucky stop, and the rest is history. Okay, so I gave you guys the strongest feats from both Rin and Shidou, laid out their abilities, what they're better at than one another, and what they excel at. So going off the feats that I just laid out for you guys, who's the better striker? I asked around on my Discord, I was checking out on YouTube, seeing what other people had to say through Reddit forums and all that stuff, and honestly, it's split so 50-50 that the community can't really come to a decision on what they truly think. But if I'm being honest, and a lot of you guys are not going to like this one, while he may be a better overall player, Atoshi Rin is not a better striker than Shidou Ryusei. Don't get me wrong, before you go into the comments, start spouting all the hate that you want to, just hear me out. Like I've already said many times in this video itself, I don't think Shidou's a better overall player than Rin. However, Shidou is truly the most pure striker that we've seen in the entirety of the series so far. The man is literally built to play the position. Like if you were to point to one person and say he's a striker, it would be Shidou. An unmatched scorer who can guarantee a goal inside the box, whether he's looking at the goal or not, who boasts one of the most impressive goals in the entirety of the series, as well as one of the most impressive flows in the entirety of the series, while not being as good overall as Atoshi Rin. When it comes to who the better overall striker is, there's no other reasonable answer than Shidou Ryusei. Alright guys, and that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for all your love and support on the videos recently, as well as your patience for me making this video. I kind of lagged a little bit. I'm sorry about that. Like I explained in my last video, burnout, you know, yada yada yada, I wanted it to look good, blah blah, whatever. We are on the road to 10K right now, so if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, as well as leaving a like on this video if you enjoyed. Also, don't forget to check out my Blue Lock Discord. We almost have 400 members, which is ridiculous, if I may say so myself. My mods honestly carry it, I'm not going to lie, but seriously consider joining it. It's a really fun server. It's a great spot to talk about Blue Lock and other things. And I mean, it's mine, so it's pretty cool. You might want to join it. With that said, thank you so much for tuning into this video, and that's all I got for you today. Love you guys. Take it easy.